The cosmic lovers, Mars and Venus, are going to do a beautiful tango in our sky this week ahead and into next week. And this astrology is beautiful for relationships, business partnerships, friendships, peace and harmony in our lives, and perhaps in areas of war in the world. It's also an energy that tells us about what we wish to attract to ourselves, what we desire in our life, and how we can bring that to us. Now, this part of the story with Venus flowing in a beautiful relationship from her passage through her queenly Leo territory, flowing to Mars in her kingdom of Libra, this story is not just about this week ahead and into late next week. Rather, this is a part of a 2-year cycle called the synodic cycle. What I'm wanting to talk about for your sign today is that Mars and Venus joined together in the heavens in February of 2024 and began a story about love and unity and harmony and peace, and even sometimes prosperity with Venus, that wants to fully finish up by January of 2026. And this is the finish line. This is the last grand finale story. This is where they're sewing it up and letting you know what the ending of this story of 2 years has really been about. So when we talk about your sign, we'll be definitely bringing to the table the area of your chart that is the Aquarius whole sign house, where this new seed for love and unity and harmony and peace and maybe getting your desires met was created in 2024 in the month of February, and where it is completing by January of 26. And this whole week and next week, the Venus-Mars story is the big deal. You're going to want to know about how this looks for your sign. And in the world, I would suggest, because the war in Ukraine was connected to a Venus-Mars conjunction in March of 2022, also in Aquarius, that very much possibly that war will be coming to a final negotiated close. We'll hopefully see that happen in the next 2 weeks. Now, we're recording this video. I am recording on September 6th, so I don't know what's going on in the world with Putin and Trump, etc. at this point. But I will simply say this: the energy of this, flowing, beautiful, loving relationship between Venus and Mars, which is called a sextile, which brings ease and grace, is beginning to really be felt by all of us as we get towards Thursday of this week ahead. So that will be on the, I have to do math in my head, 8th, 9th, the 11th. So from about the 11th of the month of September through to about the 20th or so, when Venus moves into the next sign, we're going to be feeling this energy playing out. I'll show you the sky. We'll go through this together. I'm a jewelry lover, and we're talking about Venus. So if you're into like all natural jewels, astrologically coded for your sign, these are a few of my jewels from Otter Spirit. For all my followers, you get a 20% off discount for Otter Spirit all natural AAA gemstone jewelry. So check it out below. The code is Lunatic. I think it's Lunatic 20 or 20, Lunatic Astrology 20. But information is in the description box, including the Otter Spirit website. I just love to share their jewelry whenever I'm talking about Venus, and I wear their jewelry all of the time. So I come by an honest love of it. Now, if you're new here, welcome. I forgot to say hi. It's been a busy weekend. My name is Lori Lothian. I am using Western Tropical Zodiac Astrology. This is not Vedic or sidereal. If you're listening today for your sun sign, you're listening for your career and purpose. Moon sign is things to do with your feelings and your home life, your domicile, where you live. And the rising sign is your simulation avatar, and it's anything about you in this thing called life, in this simulation called life. So it's very accurate circumstantially for both. Most people, the rising sign can be very useful for a general delineation of your story. And I'm teaching my Sky Reader class yet again, 6-year teaching, Sky Reader 6.0, time your best life, be your own astrologer kind of thing. 6 weeks live with me, replays available, 4 guest teachers teaching everything from astrocartography or relocation astrology, Sabian symbols, grand aspect patterns in the chart, zodiacal releasing, 4 guest module teachers, as well as my weekly teaching and my weekly Q&A calls, Facebook group, Discord group, and more. Everything about that course is in the description box underneath this video. On September the 7th at midnight, my first discount code for early birds would have expired, but I've got another new discount code below. If you want to get a bit of a discount on the tuition, please check the description box underneath the video and enroll in my course. Otherwise, you won't see me teaching that again for another year. All right. So I'm so excited by this guy. I remember when I did the all signs videos, I was so excited. I'm sorry. I will fix the autofocus thing. I know it's driving me nuts too, guys. Hold him on. Oh, there's the camera icon. Maybe I could figure it out. Center stage. I don't want that center stage on. That's what it's doing. But then it says portrait, background. I don't know if it'll let me just turn it off. I think I did it. Okay, but 100 people here did send me messages about how to turn center stage off. And I really appreciate that. I don't know if I can turn it off as a default center setting forever and ever, but oh my God, it was making me dizzy. All right. Thank you for all your guidance. Okay. Now, when I was doing the your sign, like your 30-minute video for your sign, there's 12 of those out there. Go watch it. It's in my your zodiac sign playlist in my description, on my channel. This was the thing I was looking most forward to. I knew that this was going to be a really good week, starting about Thursday or later into this week ahead through till the end of next week. So there is something about this that is just so really redolent of good things trying to happen, hard to stop, going to happen no matter what. Venus is applying to Mars, and she's stronger and superior in her position, and she's in decent dignity in the sign of Leo. And he's in weak dignity in Libra, her kingdom. But the good news is, and it is good, she's the boss of him. You're not the boss of me. Yes, she is the boss of him, and she's going to get him to do her bidding. And therefore, I think we're going to like this a lot. All right. Expect powerful stories in the news cycle about females, Venus, Leo, leaders, or celebrities. And with Mars and Libra, maybe about celebrity females and ends of relationships, but also this is, so for example, or legal disputes put forth by women against men and women looking strong. It comes to mind as I record this on September 6th that the whole Epstein women crew have been going out publicly and doing a lot of shows. NBC had them on as a special show, and all the women were together, etc., who had been harmed through the Epstein story. And they're out there pushing for the release of the Epstein files. And I'm going to say that it's going to be a huge story that's going to look very favorable for the females in that narrative, which will be playing out in legal and justice settings, right? Mars and Libra through Thursday of this week ahead at about to the end of next week. All right. And so there's an example of the sky showing this story. Other lawsuits involving females and males. I don't know whatever happened to the Jason Balduni and not Amber Heard. What's the actress who played in that movie? It Ends With Us. Anyway, that could come back into our news cycle, or women just powering up in some way in regards to their statements about Mars and Libra. Statements about war, imbalances in war, justice, legal matters, and court things. Okay, so women getting a lot of leverage this week and a half ahead. All right, so what we want to talk about for your sign is the idea that something happened, and the eclipses are behind us. Go watch my solar eclipse video, which that's coming for September 21st, but I did a 2.5-hour video for you, a lot of detail for your sign. It came out on Sunday. And all about last week on Thursday, I put out my solar lunar eclipse video. Watch that too. So guys, one of my best resources before I do your sign is good old Ren Butler's Archetypal Universe. And this is a really, really handy resource book. Now, I would love for you to definitely see more of him, and I'm going to have him back on my channel. And one thing about this Venus-Mars energy is that it's about when you combine the cosmic lovers, you're going to get the following themes in a harmonious way. Passionate enthusiasm for life, emotional warmth and vitality, dynamic cravings for fun and enjoyment, and harmonious self-assertion. And then he's got some fun quotes like from people who are born with like Venus positive Mars in the natal chart, like Susan Sontag. What is most beautiful in virile men is something feminine, and what is most beautiful in feminine women is something masculine. What a great quote. Man, oh man. So Venus is love, Mars is anger. Venus unites and Mars separates. So they're very different energies, right? Love and war, unity and separation. But we need both faculties in life, right? Because Mars allows us to divide because he decides, he bisects, cuts, dissects things. So what we do with Mars is we make a decision. And what he also helps us do is act on our decisions. And what Venus does is show us what we yearn for, what it is that we think we want to attract to us, like a flower attracting the butterflies. What do we want to attract to us? Because we wish to experience it as a force of enjoyment or pleasure in our lives. And when our life is filled with both what we end and what we begin, what we yearn for and what we must discard. So we need both the Venus and the Mars archetypes in our lives. So we can't say Mars is bad or Venus is good. Sometimes we desire too much pleasure and we become alcoholic or something. And Mars helps us cut away those alcoholic tendencies. So both sides of the story are needed in life. So if you go back, I want to take you back through history very briefly. Okay, just bear with me before we get to your sign. This is for anyone who has time to research this for me. I'll probably write about it on Substack, my Pluto Chronicles. I won't talk about it here in depth, but Venus coming together with Mars in a conjunction, uniting in Aquarius, is what this last closing sextile is coming from. So we're talking about those two planets coming together in February of 2024. But they also came together in Aquarius in March of 2022. So we literally we're going to be going through a 4-year run of Venus and Mars anchored to the Aquarian story. And that's, Aquarius rising nations are like China, for example, right? Or Aquarius rising famous people or people in general getting a lot of leverage off of that. But then also, historically, Venus joined with Mars in Aquarius only very rarely. For example, in January of 1966, and that only lasted till August of 1966, because that was a retrograde conjunction. And it ended a short few, 8 months later, the energy of that cycle. But also in February of 1992, Venus joined with Mars at 1 degree of Aquarius, which closed out in January of 1994 when they joined in Capricorn. And that's what we're having happen this time. It's going to be in January of 26 that they're going to unite together at 18 degrees of Capricorn. So the best comparison for this historical period with the Mars, the god of war, and Venus, the goddess of peace stories are like February of 92 to January of 1994. So those of you who have time or interest about wars that went on in our world at that time, please put the answers in the comments. I'm trying to think about that era and my mind won't come to it right now. It could have been anything. It could have been, was that the Serbian, Croatian, Baltic stuff? So someone put it, or was that like Desert Storm? Can someone comment below what wars were going on February of 92 to January of 94? We're going to find that there's probably a comparison here between something that could come to a completion, whether it's Ukraine, Russia, or Gaza, Israel, during this latest cycle that began by the Mars in Aquarius connecting to Venus in Aquarius at 6 degrees of Aquarius on February 22nd, 2024. This is a closing storyline. And for those of you who are astrologically geeky, and I love you guys because I'm one of you, I'm super astrologically geeky, my special interest, that I want you to know that this story would take place in major pivots, right? So when we went from February of 24 at 6 Aquarius, where they joined forces together, it would have been in August of 24 that Venus squared Mars from Virgo while Mars was in Gemini. And then it would have been in December of 2024, it's actually the 12th of December, 2024, that Venus opposed Mars from Aquarius while he was traveling through the sign of Leo. And then it would have been in July of 2025 when Venus in Gemini squared Mars in Virgo. Therefore, these stories, August of 2024, December of 2024, July of 2025, are the 9 o'clock, noon, 9, noon, 3 p.m. It's really like the turning of the wheel, right? It's the equivalent of saying, the new moon is the inception of the synodic cycle, like a new moon energetically would be February of 2024, February 22nd, 2024. The first quarter moon, metaphorically, is August of 2024. And then but in this Mars-Venus dynamic, the full moon energy, the absolute culminating qualities, Venus in Aquarius, Mars in Leo, is December of 24. And then in July of 25, it's like the last quarter moon, right? That happened on July 23rd. Venus was in Gemini and Mars was in Virgo. So here we have this closing sextile. It's the final story. It's like tying it all together in a bow. Let's take a look at your sign. Let's go through this together and make some stories up. And that's what astrology is. It's storytelling, guys. That's all it is. We're making stories up by telling stories about what the archetypes of the planets might mean. And I hope that was useful to you to understand that when astrologers go, oh, what a wonderful week, Venus and Mars are sextile, it's missing the point. It is a synodic cycle. It's a part of a larger picture. And if you don't account for the synodic cycle, you miss the meaning of the story. All right. So this is an Aquarius story in its final act. It's not really just about the Libra and Venus in Libra here and Venus here. I'm not going to ignore all the minor asteroids and stuff. I've talked ad nauseum about hurricane season looking brutal this year. It compares to a cycle in 1894. I wrote about it on Substack. I covered it in at least one of my videos already, but look for brutal sea storms or problems with like naval warfare or big calamities at sea or submarines or at the highest positive level, undersea discoveries, everything like that, really looking intense in the month of September, picking up off that lunar eclipse on September 7th. So I'm not going to talk all about these asteroids, requiem, like who's going to pass away. Virgo, will Virgo pass away, a funeral for, Virgo people. Virgo is rising sign of Lebanon. Virgo is, Netanyahu's midheaven. So there's a lot I've talked about already. And there's the old asteroid child with the wounds of war. We know what we're talking about. Children dying en masse. That's going on here. And the finger of God, solar eclipse in Virgo. There is a finger of God on that solar eclipse pointing right here. And that video came out yesterday. So go watch that. It's way ahead of the actual September 21st eclipse because I think world events are going to happen as they normally do up to 2 to 3 or 1 month before the eclipse. So I wanted to get that video out there first. Whoa. I'm going to simplify the sky. And if you want to know why I'm simplifying the sky, it's because I'm just talking about Mars and I'm just talking about Venus. That's what we're covering today. We're even going to take out all those little pesky minor asteroids while we go ahead and do your sign. Alrighty. I will mention that Saturn is on the star of female mourners at 29 Pisces. And that's another reason I think water calamities lead to serious losses of, unfortunately, life coming through September. The hurricane season is my best guess. Tsunami would be my next. So let's go ahead and take a look at the sky. And we're going to start with the Aries people. If you're new here and you haven't liked and subscribed, give me a try. I put out a lot of content. All of it's all signs. Because this is very connected, this archetypal energy to love, right? Love, no matter which way, love and relationship. We're going to draw a deck card, Wisdom of the Oracle by Collette Baron Reid, because this has a special section just for relationship. And so we all have relationships to our friends, to our children, to romantic love. So it doesn't have to be just about the romance. Venus is about relatingness, unity, attracting harmony, and bringing things that we enjoy to our life. And we're going to talk about the idea that for all of us, there's some relationship shifts happening. And so we'll use this small one paragraph about relationship for your sign, as well, of course, as the astrology. I do both these days. So I like the astrology now blended. All right, blended. Okay, so this is going to be Monday. You're going to see the two of them are in a sextile relationship to each other. Mars is taking orders. He lives in her kingdom, house guest in the kingdom of Libra. Venus is the boss of him, telling him what to do. What I mean by applying is that she's moving this way and she's moving toward him. It's a superior position. It's an applying position. So she has more power over this Mars who must do her bidding. And you'll notice that this is not exactly close enough that I would count it. I like to get to the 3-degree mark, which is here on Thursday. So beginning on Thursday, September 11th, yes, I know. And we can see that this will continue basically energetically active until September 19th, when she moves into Virgo, her detriment. So we're going to say, okay, and the 19th will be next Friday. So Thursday of this week ahead to the end of the next week, we're having this story play out for each separate sign. It keeps hitting exactitude on and off because of the differing speeds between Venus and Mars. But we'll start for all of us today on the Thursday picture in the sky. We'll start with Aries first, and we'll whip around the chart for your sign. And don't forget, come join me in Sky Reader. If you're in the live premiere, please consider hitting that like button, commenting, sharing with friends, hitting the notification bell if you haven't, and of course, checking to see if you're still subscribed. On the routine, YouTube cuts people off my channel. They think they're subscribed. They go fine. They've been unsubscribed. It seems like it's a normal thing. I'm not going to take it like a victim. It just seems to be what they do. They scrub people out and then they scrub you back in if you resubscribe. All right. So Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. And I told you in the beginning how to delineate sun, moon, and rising. So I'm not going to say it again. It looks to me like there's a major love story that's truly about a love story. Whoa. Why does I think that's really about a love story? Because Venus is in the house of romantic and sexual love, and Mars is in the house of committed and long-term love or marriage. And therefore, whatever this is about, it really for you speaks to the traditional stories of love. Mars is often about what we separate, and this can indicate separation from a significant love partner at this time, or that there will be separation. Yet Venus is yearning to tell him with sweet whisper, sweet nothings of love into his ear from the house of true love, romance, passion, falling in love, etc. Now, we have other people in our fifth house. That includes our children. And there is a possibility of something going on with one of your children, Aries, if you have children, and something to do with agreements that must be forged with that child, almost like you were going to form a legal contract with one of your kids. But on the other hand, one other thing to say is Venus is in her joy here. This is the house of her joy in traditional ancient astrology. This is a house of winning money. Gambling, speculating, lottery wins, take your pick. This could look very good on you. And this may be some dispensation of what you've desired, which is an influx of a lot of money that comes in a winning way. And Mars is just how to share that with somebody else. This is the house of someone else with which you might divide the win. It's that simple as that. So knowing that, it's going to be just a very positive time. Yes, know your limit, play within it. But if you wanted to purchase a ticket for a lottery, I would do that under the sky. Mars is your ruler. He's going to try to bring something good in concert with Venus. Now, some of you might notice that with Mars here, your significant other in love and marriage might be very detached, very distant, very maybe not physically present, maybe even grumpy or combative. Yet there's a soothing of the waters here. There's a smoothing it out. Sometimes Venus represents leisure travel, and this would be a romantic leisure getaway trip with a significant other anytime between September 11th and the 19th. It could really smooth the waters of a relationship that has been having challenges, whether you go to meet them or they come to meet you, or that you are traveling together. Now, I'm going to draw a card for you, and don't forget, this is connected to Aquarius. This is where these two planets came together in February of the date, right? If you want to put it on your calendar, go back and track your text messages. What happened February 22nd of 2024? All right. Why do I bring that up? Because this cycle ends in January, and this is a part of a larger Aquarius story. This is a house of friendship. It's possible you started dating a friend, friends with benefits, or that a friend introduced you to somebody, or that your social groups and friendship belonging circles led you into a new relationship. But because it is a house of friendship, and don't forget, Venus and Mars did co-join here in March of 2022, there may be something going on in which a long-term love relationship is really seeding a new level of connection as friends. And you might laugh, well, what does that mean? It means that maybe there was a lot of passion and like twin flame love, and now you're just going to say, hey, we're really good friends. It could take a new turn that way. But whatever this is also another windfall house, pennies from heaven. So this particular last week can definitely lead to windfalls and pennies from heaven connected to love relationships, or bringing your truest wishes, dreams, and desires to life through lucky breaks financially, although you may want to share that windfall with others. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull a card from the deck, knowing that this deck, bless this Collette Baron Reid Wisdom of the Oracle deck, does very much include, I'm so glad that center stage is gone. It very much does include a little paragraph about relationships. So for each sign, we're going to focus on the relationship paragraph, not read the whole thing. Okay. So this card deck is one of my old favorite cards. I've been using it for years. And I also read tarot cards and have since my 20s. And I want you to also think about, in this particular story, time to go. All right. Now, if there's a love relationship that needs to end, that might be what that is, you know, but we're seeing bounteous, positive, harmonious closure if there's something ending. Okay. 45. Sorry, I got that one first. Not every Aries is going to end a relationship. And if you're single, this could allow for meeting someone new through a friendship group, a circle of belonging, something like that, or a leisure trip. 45 is the number of the card. Sorry, guys. I'm a sun and moon, so I'm reflecting on that myself. 45. So endings, completions, walking away from something because there's nothing else to learn. Okay. But let's also read the relationship message. It's over, or at least the very least, this form the relationship has taken is no longer of service to you or the other person. Don't just think love relationship. Could be an important friendship, right? Could be a relationship to your child in this chart. That doesn't mean anything is lost, although this card could speak to a breakup, drifting apart, or the end of a soul contract. It is more about release than destruction. Remember the saying, if you love something, let it go. If it comes back, it's yours. If not, it never was. That was a poster in the 70s. I lived through that poster. Endings are always a sign of new beginnings. If you want something deeper, walk away. Now, don't forget, it can be other relationships other than significant, committed, long-term love. Okay, so moving into the next narrative. We want to take a look at Taurus. You guys are ruled by Venus, just as the Aries folk were ruled by Mars. So for you guys, this is a very important story. Okay, you can't ignore this one. You just really can't ignore it. Mars is in the house of work and health. Venus is in the house of home. Because these two aren't always about relationship, because it could be about situations you desire and actions and decisions you need to take. It looks like you're making major choices regarding your health and home-based pleasures, including substances that could be bad for you, or you're making major changes and decisions regarding your work and your work situation vis-a-vis your home life. And finally, because Mars is in the house of rental properties and a sign of legality, and Venus is in the pleasures of the home, this could incite some opportunity for a new rental property, a new home as a landlord or a tenant, emerging anytime from Thursday until next week, end of next week. Now, I want you to remember that the energy here is also around pets. This is the house of domestic animals. Venus is pleasure. Some of you may have a sudden decision or action plan emerge that flows and is very easy to acquire a pet in your home, or resolve a health challenge as well by virtue of things to do with your home life, and particularly the pleasures in your home. And that can be good pleasures or bad pleasures, right? We don't always want to drink wine for breakfast. So there's something to consider there. One other thing I want to say about this is that it was seeded from a conjunction in Aquarius as a part of a larger cycle, and it's finishing and closing by January, that connects to your 10th house of career and reputation. Now, the 10th house is misunderstood as just about one's career. It is also about, your social standing. I'm widowed, I'm divorced, I'm married, I'm single, I'm employed, I'm unemployed. So those are changes that can be seeded or have been seeded as far back as February 22nd, 2024. And before that, March of 2022, also in Aquarius. You've gone through one full cycle like this before. This particular closing energy, though, really suggests a potential change of home connected to a change of work that leads to more pleasure and joy in the home, an opportunity for a shift in work that allows to work from home as well. So all of those themes may be also how it plays out through the sky as you watch the story unfold. And although, yes, it's happening, Thursday of this week to Friday of next week, it could even be because of the synodic cycle, a closure that unfolds as far out as January. So by January, you get a new pet. By January, you change your home or rental property. By January, you've secured a new job and a change of home or change of home and job. Those are all things I see. Good news, if you're looking for a new job, you're lucky. Venus is supplying luck. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let us draw a card for you right now from good old Collette Baron Reid's Oracle deck, The Wisdom of the Oracle. We are focusing primarily on the relationship paragraph. This would be your relationship to animals, pets, health, home, and job. And we've got breathe. Just makes me want to breathe. Get a deep breath, right? So breathe is the 29th card of this deck. And let's take a look at what we get here. Patience, waiting, going slowly, wellness. Yes, it's in the house of health. Mars is there. Cut away that which is bad for your health. Meditation and trust. Now, if it involves relationships, and the 6th house is a dating house, it's also a house of karmic debts in relationship. Don't be in a hurry right now. The heart needs time to open. Take a breath and let nature take its course. Release constriction, anxiety, for there's no need here for tension, Taurus. Savor the moment, and the waiting won't prove difficult. Your heart knows what the ego often resists learning. Patience pays off in deep and meaningful ways. So about everything here, it's about being patient. And because we can move into a dating mode in any time the 6th house is active, Venus in the 4th house suggests dating somebody close to home. Like, this is not long distance love, okay? This is someone in your proximate environment. Okay, let's get it going and talk about the next sign. Don't forget to hit that like button and to subscribe and join me in Sky Reader. I'd love to see you there starting on September 27th. So Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. What a beautiful story for you, because Mars is in the romantic love house. Mars is here in passion, romance, sexuality. He's, a little under the weather. He can't find his balance. Everything's like tipped over. This is also your creative and entrepreneurial instincts. And it's a little bit out of whack. The teeter-totter keeps skewing to one extreme here. But Venus is here to smooth it out on Thursday of this week through to Friday next week. So during that whole 7-day period, at least, things are in more balance. And the balance here can also be about the idea that if you're looking for love as a single Gemini, sun, moon, or rising, there may be a new opening or opportunity for romance because you're traveling. This is a travel house right here. Now, or you could be in a teaching or learning environment and meet a new love partner. And that includes online learning and teaching. And this could also be an online dating app moment. Okay. Now, Mars is going to follow Venus's instructions. And if you're going to meet somebody under this, you're going to be meeting an energetic combination of somebody who's seeking for balance in an aggressive way. Sounds interesting, but could literally be an obvious statement of someone involved in a legal field or a publishing and book publishing field. And if you are an artist trying to write, create, market, sell anything that you're doing, this is a very positive story. This is Venus looking at the house of her joy and telling Mars to get to work and give you some really good luck in your creative and entrepreneurial businesses. Well, there is another thing I could say about this. It can be a female here in your local neighborhood, right? Or, an aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, and nephew, and something positive going on with them this week ahead, Thursday to next week. And the sibling one younger than you belongs to the 3rd house. And it could also involve some positive developments with your sibling one younger than you and their children. Now, Mars is in the house of your children, and therefore some really good turning points are happening from blessed Venus's support structures to pivot your own child into something successful and positive. Either one, all of these are possible, particularly your firstborn child under this sky. Now, what I'd like to do for you next is draw a card. But before I do, remember what I said in the beginning. This is a part of a larger synodic cycle that was initiated in February of 24, and even before that, earlier in March of 22, where Venus and Mars double joined up in your ninth house. The best comparison in this lifetime, as I mentioned in the beginning, is February of 92 to January of 94. And something good wants to happen. It will feel perhaps similar. With this ninth house, some of you may have opportunities for higher education, book publishing, foreign land travel, and pilgrimages opening up here. When Venus and Mars joined here, I have a progressed Gemini sun in February of 24. By June of 24, I was on a pilgrimage on the El Camino. You can't make that stuff up. But it can also indicate new love stories coming through your sky for single Geminis from foreign people and foreign shores and foreign lands. And that's exactly what happened to me as well from the March 2022 conjunction where I met my American boyfriend. So you're definitely looking at reminding you that things are applying to the ninth house as well. So let's take a quick look at the Oracle deck for you and see what we get. By the way, you could get pregnant if you're looking to fertility off of this, but you would do that because you were on a trip. Mars be like, I don't know if we want to do this. Are we sure we're going to keep the situation as is? And Venus is saying, absolutely, yeah. So for some of you younger Geminis, you or your partner should be careful if you're not interested in that. Buy the book. Okay. It's funny because the book publishing house, Aquarius, is where this whole baby started. It's card number 11, Buy the Book. Let's take a look at Buy the Book for you. Card number 11. Sorry, it's like getting dizzy looking down even. All right. Okay, the essential meanings, abiding by social rules. Social rules. I guess the ninth house can be very much like the traditions of something. That's where this whole thing started for us in February 24. Conformity, respecting cultural or family customs and universal laws. Yeah, that's very ninth house, the customs and the universal laws. Okay. Now let's take a look at the relationship stuff. Getting along with others entails understanding and respecting who they have become as a result of their environment, culture, and experience. Find the middle ground that allows a relationship to flourish while honoring the individuality of the other person. Play things by the book instead of trying to break the rules or pressure others to conform to the way you want them to be. Your connection will deepen as a result. So I still do sort of have a boyfriend from the United States. We're kind of migrated to friends, but as my Gemini sun is looking at that, I'll think about that. So hopefully that gives you some insight on how to use this energy, what it might be offering you. It's kind of like, don't bust out of, be respectful of traditions, keep within the bounds of respectful rules and customs as you apply this energy going into this next time frame. It could be what we're seeing, not just this week and next, but through until January, when we have a whole new cycle in Capricorn. Okay, and then we go into our Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising people. So first of all, you guys have this energetic love story going on that could be about something to do with your love life connected to your home life where Mars is sitting. And this is interesting because Venus is where the speech lies. And so if you are already in a relationship and you live with your partner, then if there has been conflict, disagreement, turbulence, maybe even cold shouldering with this energy, Venus will be sweet talking it all out and making that energy come to a sweetness and solution of some kind. And, you know, this will be evident for you, as I said, Thursday of this week through to the end of next week, most evident. Yet at the same time, we have other meanings for Venus and Mars in this condition, right? Mars might like to cut, end, and sever your home. And Venus would say money, possessions, and wealth. And so, one thing to say is you could release a possession, sell a car, sell a major item that belongs to your home, sell your home. And so, there's a thing here about property, land, home, real estate, resources, possessions, and money that's trying to emerge right now as these two are flowing together. And this could apply all the way through till the end of this year energetically. This is a seed that was planted in the house of chunky money, shared monies with a spouse, money you could derive through an inheritance or even money from your sale of a property. All this energy was activated here back in February of 2024, and even again in March of 22. And if some of you have been thinking that you wanted to extricate some chunky money by selling a property or moving your home, this is now in play. Mars is known as the expat when he's in the fourth house. Some of you may want to become an expat from your country, or if you are an expat, move back home. Those are another way that this could play out for some of you Cancers. But Venus is also allowing for financial lucrativeness and anything you do to change the things about your home, even including having enough money to like have a construction crew come in and renovate, and feeling good about that as well. Now, what I'm going to do in a minute is draw a card, but I also want to mention something else here. When I see Mars in the fourth house, he tends to be aiming his sword at the seventh house, which is your marriage type partners. And there's a possibility that some of this may also literally mean it could be time for you to find a smoother road in a long-term existing relationship by moving out, or your partner moving out, separating yourself from somebody else. Just want you to know that is one way it might look. It's a lot of ways it might look, but that's one way for some of you who are in a relationship that isn't serving you at this time. And that's what I got. So we're going to go ahead and draw a card for you and say, what's up? This has a lot to do with money as well as relationship, right? Because Venus is looking at the shared resources. So if there's any challenges you have in love relationships with money and resources and who has what and who should contribute what, this could be a smoothing of that too. Exchanging gifts is what you have. Exchanging gifts, 27. Okay, let's take a look at that. Find that interesting as a card, given that your money axis of what you possess too, and money you share with others, 8, is activated here. All right, let's take a quick look at card 27 for all Cancers and how this may play out not only this week, but by January, as this is a closing chapter in a much larger story in a synodic cycle. It is joy and contentment. Oops, wrong one. I take that too. I take that too. Okay, exchanging gifts. The law of giving and receiving, currency. Yes, because Venus is in the money house. Trade-offs, weighing costs, and determining value. Well, value and currency is a second house. Okay, so I want to look at the relationship meaning, okay? But it does want to say you have what it takes to engage in success in life by the law of giving and receiving. All right, so relationship message. Love is an exchange of life force energy between two beings. It grows exponentially when it's reciprocated. You must give and receive in order for love to flourish and abundance to flow between you. Spirit wants you to start accepting all the blessings waiting for you, as well as waiting for you, as well as offer the same gift in return. That's a strange sentence. Open your heart and allow it to be filled. Let love in, let love flow out of you too. Love is truly yours today. So it's about the exchange of energy, and with Venus, love, and Mars is out of balance. So maybe there's been a lack of balance, give and take with some important people in your life. And this is going to help smooth that out. And especially when it comes to financial balance in relationships to people who are important to you, particularly, I'm going to say particularly spousal based on that chart. but also with your children, because Mars rules the house of your children. So he exalts your marriage house and he rules the house of your children. So if there's been monetary imbalances in those relationships or give and take energies that are off balance, this is going to try to support healing that this week ahead and into the end of next week. Woo! I think I need a little chocolate break. I'm going to take it. I am going to take a chocolate break. So hang on. I need to fortify. I'll be right back. All right. Yes, I shall get myself together. I had a chocolate frenzy. I was like a chocolate orgy over there in my chocolate stash. I'm back, and some apple, organic apple, some chocolate. Now I feel myself coming back from woozy sugarlowing. All right, moving on to the next sign. I did do that. Yes, I did. Let's talk about Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. So don't forget, in the introduction, I talk about the synodic cycle. It all begins in Aquarius, February of 24 and March of 2022, in your 7th house of long-term committed love relationship. Now, let's put it this way. No matter what else we say about this combination, it's all about significant others in your life. Now, the 7th house where the seeds were planted, it does involve committed love stories. And you might have gone through a lot of new beginnings, breakups, new turbulence since, yes, March of 22, and then another reset, February of 2024. But for some of you, this is your audience, your marketplace, your clients. So it's people you serve in professional endeavors. That could also be something that was highly shifty and activated. And you'd have to go back to 1992 to 94 for similar themes in your life. And so that's the story for the backdrop. That's the synodic cycle. But this week is the closing sextile, the final act, and it kind of finishes across as a finish line in January of 26. So while we talk about this Thursday through to the end of next week between Venus and Mars, the cosmic lovers, maybe it also applies through till January, where the theme seems to be what you want, what you yearn for, what you desire, what you love, what brings you joy, where you feel magnanimous and beautiful and self-loving in yourself, where you feel like you're on your queenly throne, doesn't matter what your gender is, and you got your A game going. You know what you want here in life. It doesn't matter about anything, about your career, because Venus rules it, right? So maybe you know what you really want there. You might know what you really want when it comes to relationships with third house people. That would be your neighbors, your siblings, your aunts and uncles and cousins. And you know what you want. You're able to see that home kingdom, Mars. And you know what you want in your committed love stories and what you do not want. You will not put up with anything less than your Prince Charming bowing before your throne and supplying, endless accolades of how amazing you are. Okay, you need that with this Venus right here. Well, here's the problem. Or it's not a problem because this is a sextile, but here's the thing. There's something coming up that is going to try to work out in your favor when it comes to career, or when it comes to love, long-term committed love. And the 3rd house matters, where decisions and actions are being made. This is maybe to do with location where you live, maybe changing your home. With Mars here, could exalts the house of leases and rentals. You might be looking at changing your home in the next few months, renting a new property, moving to a new home. That may be because of fractures or endings in relationships, because this is where the cosmic lovers of ending and separating and uniting tried to work something out in January of 2024. And so you may also be looking at shifts or changes in regards to things you're doing, like travel. You could travel here for romantic love, and that could really fortify and strengthen an existing relationship. If you're single, travel could bring you into a new relationship. Mars says you can meet your partner because you're on a journey somewhere. With Mars here, you're going to maybe have been unbalanced or had a lack of balance when it came to your relationship to a sibling younger than you, your relationship to your local environment, your neighbors, and Venus wants to heal and smooth it out. So there's a kind of sense that things are going well if you want to consider you've got the upper hand. You're very persuasive. You have a strong charm offensive. You can get what you want right now. This is online dating, by the way, the 3rd house. Single. If you're single, looking for a good relationship, this might be your chance to find something that you feel like you can control. A relationship with somebody who will listen to you. So singletons, you might want to think about going on a date or two anytime between, let's say, this Wednesday, Thursday through to the end of next week, it could open up a new type of relationship for you where you feel very honored by the person you're with, maybe as opposed to dismissed with, somebody or by somebody. Mars just wants to bring change, and often he does that by taking action or making decisions. And so there can be some significant changes about what you truly want and desire when it comes to your online social media life in general, or anything to do with writing, communicating, teaching, and marketing and selling. But I do see the possibility, as Mars rules a house of home and rental leasing, that a very few of you, but some of you will probably be looking at this as an opportunity to move your home, okay, to change your home, or just simply to take a trip away from home. All right, so those are possibilities for you. Now let's take a look at the card deck, the wisdom of the oracle, see what you get. What does the universe have to say for you today about this story? Whoa. The fates. Okay, we're complementary storylines here, guys. The fates, number 17. That's an interesting card to pick for you guys at this time. Let's see why it is showing up as that card. The key meanings are fate, karma, acceptance. There are things you cannot change, and knowing what those things are. Now, Venus and Mars are love relationship people. I mean, the cosmic lovers are in a tango here, but Mars does like to end things or separate people and situations. So relationship message is other people are who they are. You cannot change them. The challenge is to accept them as they are and not try to make them otherwise to suit you. This is a time to look at how you attempt to mold people to fit your view of how they should be, so you can remain in the relationship and avoid discomfort. Well, certainly as this entitled Venus, you definitely want to mold people. That's true. In this time you do. What if who they are and whatever is happening between you and them in this situation is perfect from the perspective of spirit? I want you to apply this to cousins, neighbors, aunts, uncles, and siblings. That's because of Mars in that house. Don't always think about love stories here. Love unconditionally for each of us is in our own journey. And we cannot direct that of another person, right? Be aware that this relationship is indeed fated, and you are meant to evolve into a better version of yourself as a result of it. And this is often in the third house, the sibling one younger than you. So keep that eye on that relationship as this week ahead and into next week progresses. So let's move into your next story. Boom. Forgot that I was looking at you guys already. All right, Virgos. So first of all, Venus she started something, in March of 2022, but then she reset the button in February of 2024 in Aquarius. This is a house to do with karmic debts. Now, that's a vague word, I get it, but sometimes we have a situation to a person, place, or thing that's for a season and reason at a time. It's an indebtedness. Okay. So we could say you could have gotten involved in dating people or getting in relationships with the people with whom you have a karmic debt. Anytime, March of 22 and then February 24 onward. Another element to do with this is work. This is where you go to your job, and this is your workspace. And so there is something about those reset buttons as well. And lastly, pets that you love and adore belong here. And there may have been beginnings and endings regarding pet situations, including the loss of a family animal or pet during those two windows of March of 22 to 24 or February of 2024 to coming up this January. And lastly, health problems and health solutions belong to the sixth house. And Venus is pleasure, and Mars is to cut, end, and sever. And it may be a call that has been haunting you since March of 22 and re-haunting you since February 24 to cut, end, and sever pleasures in your life that are especially oral pleasures. Venus rules the house of what you put in your mouth, and cut it out for good. Cut the ice cream, cut the French fries, cut the weed, cut the vape, cut the wine, whatever it is. It's time to really drill into it. Now, all that said and done, Venus is in the house of addictions this week. Let's say Wednesday on to the end of next week, and she's looking at Mars in the house of what you put in your mouth. and he wants to cut and sever. This could include inhaling through your nose. This could also be about anything that is going into your face. So she's like, I got a handle on this. I'm in a strong position. I'm superior to Mars. I'll direct him to eliminate the digestive system problems by letting go of the gluten, letting go of my addictions, my self-undoing, my bad habits and patterns for oral ingestion, for dietary habits and styles. That's what I'm seeing here for sure for a lot of Virgos. And it could be something small. It doesn't mean you're a full-blown alcoholic, for example. It could be anything that you know you really don't need to eat. It's not good for you in some way, but you really keep doing it anyway, or put through your nose or mouth, right? Now, that aside, because there's other things that could happen here, Mars is in the house of your earnings, and Venus is in the sort of deep alone time where you reflect on the reality and meaning of one's life, right? And it started in a workhouse. So there's a lot going on for some of you about your work, job, and career. And in a lot of ways, the 12th house is like to retire away from something. So you might actually be looking at closing down a sort of a business or career path that you've been on. And some of you want to go back to school here. Venus is ruling your house of higher education. You might want to re-educate in order to change career paths entirely. And this could be the decisions you're making around that at this time, the announcements you may make about that. And it may also involve the idea of cutting away from a particular form of financial earnings. Some of you could even open up an entrepreneurial gig off of this because Mars rules your entrepreneurial house, exalts your entrepreneurial house. And finally, Mars does rule your third house. And the reset happened in the house of rental. So neighborhoods and new rental properties to relocate to can be a theme that begins to unfold through this sextile and then shows you the way, let's say, mid this week till the end of next week, but you may not execute that till near the end of the year. So let's go ahead and let's see what the Oracle deck has to say for you about this situation. Now, I know at least 2 or 3 Virgos, funny enough, looking to make some serious dietary changes right now. So if you're a Virgo thinking about habits and patterns around ingestion of substances through this part of your body, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Oh my God, look at that beautiful card. Happy, happy, number 26. Now, did this look like a love story to me? Not really. The only way I could parse that as a love story is you're going to get into a love relationship because of somebody you meet connected to travel to another land. That's it. And that's what I can get for you off of that. Really, it really looks like something else. Happy, happy. Joy and contentment, a new sense of fulfillment, and a feeling that all is well. But we're going to apply the relationship reading for everyone. There are moments in a relationship where you feel just good about whom you're with, and you know that your heart is wide open to befriend, to love, and to care for another without wanting anything in return. This is the kind of happy you just want to share. The appearance of this card in a reading tells you that joy and contentment is here now, not somewhere else or off in the future. And if you're single, you could meet somebody from a far off distant shore or land, right? The grass is greenest right where you stand. Be grateful and delight in your relationship. And if you're seeking one, be happy now. Happiness attracts more of itself, like bees to honey. And really, if you're not going to listen to it, it's being at one with Spirit's plan for your life is what this card says brings happiness as a general principle. Okay. So there you go. A little bit of surrender, right? Because what Venus is in a house of spiritual surrender. Libra, you're ruled by Venus, just like the Tauruses. Venus is in your 11th house of good spirit, windfalls, pennies from heaven, greater prosperity gains from your career, friends, benefactors, and allies who really want to help you, the elder sibling leaning in to help you, all good. This is Venus's placement in the sky, this Thursday through till next week, end of next week. And she's flowing to Mars. You are Mars. Now, here's the problem. Mars is out of balance in Libra, and you might have noticed you are out of balance. You could be out of balance in many things, in your relationships to love partners, to your children, to your career, to your workload, to your work-life play balance. You are out of balance. You're trying to make decisions and take actions, but you keep finding yourself doing a lot of all or nothing or extreme energy. And sometimes you might be irritable, grumpy, or short-tempered, with your clients, your audience, your marketplace, or your significant love and business partners. So that's been going on for a few weeks for you. Now, Venus is coming into, it reminds me of that song from Jesus Christ Superstar, where Mary Magdalene is soothing Jesus after he got, like all hot and bothered, and she's putting the anointing oil on his feet and she's singing to him. What is that song? It's going to be, everything's going to be all right. And it's cool and the ointment's sweet for the fire in your hands and feet. Okay, that is the tune, okay, for you. Something about a friend, an older sibling, an ally, kind of soothing the heat that you've been feeling as you've been Martianized, out of balance, and off your center, really. Okay. That said, this is a part of a larger story. This began way back here in March of 2022, then it reset for another round in February of 2024 in the 5th house of creativity, entrepreneurship, fertility, pregnancy, and children, and matters to do with romantic love, and following your bliss and pursuing your natural talents and finding your creative artistic muse. Okay, all of that. So you've been working with that energy that Venus keeps trying to work into the story when she co-joined Mars here back in those time frames. And this closes out in January of this year. It doesn't come back for a long, long time. If it is about a new love story that wants to emerge here, you'll have to go all the way back to, February of 92 to January of 94 for comparisons, should you have been in a major love union at that time, if you're old enough. Otherwise, or had children or whatever. Otherwise, knowing that it all was seated in the 5th house, where Venus has her joy and is so strong, is a positive seed placement for you. Now, this could lead you to a sudden financial windfall in this next week ahead. That's what Venus can do. And you're making decisions about what to do with that financial windfall. This could also have you have some specific decisions you're making regarding a love affair or long-term relationship, but you're doing it in a harmonious, flowing way. It might be advised or supported by people that you know, friends, allies, and benefactors. This also could really open you up in some way because of Mars's rulership of your 2nd house to a new strategy by decision to earn more money. But you're going to have to take action and make a decision this like Wednesday, Thursday through to the end of next week in order to actualize that. And for some of you, it may be a decision to work in an area of your natural talents and abilities, to start your own entrepreneurial business, that kind of thing. Mars exalts your 4th house of home, property, and real estate. Venus is smooth talking him. You could have an opportunity for a new rental property, home, place to live, because Venus exalts the rentals. And you just might be something as simple as, le voilà, there it is. You're going to find a new place to live through a favor from a friend or a lucky break. And then you're going to say, oh, wow, that was really great. By the end of next week, that could transpire as well, if you wanted to relocate your property or find a tenant for the property that you own. Now, the last thing I want to say is that what inspires you in life is what this is all about. The 5th house is the house of inspiration and enthusiasm for life. So remember that if this week feels like you've lost your enthusiasm as we get an inspiration for life, trust me, you'll feel it coming back. It will start to return to you as we move through this Thursday through till the end of next week. Something new is lighting your fire, something good. And of course, if you are single, a friend may introduce you to somebody and you may fall madly in love. Let's go ahead and draw a card for you about the wisdom of the oracle and see what we get for you. Okay. Oh, mending. Yeah, 52. What needs to be mended in your life? Don't forget, it all started in the love and romance house for you guys. 52. Back in February of 24. Mending. All right, guys. It's taking me forever. I think it's the last card. Mending. All right. Forgiveness, making amends, and healing after arguments. And this could be arguments with anybody that you love, your child, especially the firstborn, because that's where the Aquarius thing started, right? A friend, an ally, a sibling one older, or your main partner. Relationship message. You've come to a place where forgiveness is necessary if you are to move forward. It's necessary. Yes. Separate or together, you and the other person are still experiencing the effects of a hurt that is impacting everything you do, even if you're not aware of it. The energy needs to clear. What must you do to bridge the gap? Closure in your heart is not the answer. You have the power to heal this. Closing your heart is not the answer. You have the power to heal this wound. Ask yourself, what would love do? Only good will come of it. Only good will come of forgiveness and an honest redress. I'm leaving you with that. All right, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. Back in, I keep saying this, but back in, February of 24 and March of 2022, Venus joined with your Mars over here in the fourth house, right? Mars and Venus. And the last time this happened was really February of 92, which lasted until January of 94. Home, property, land, real estate. You were pretty young, right? Some of you. So you may not be able to go back to 1992 to 1994 to make sense of that. Okay, so my son, he would have been the age when we moved to Washington, D.C., right? His family uprooted him here, right? That's so simple, just what happened, right? So what is going on is that Mars says cut, separated, and Venus says unite and bring together. The two of them work to make something happen. It's possible from that conjunction in February 24, what's trying to happen in the grand finale has something to do with relocating where you live. Okay, and you change in your home life or where your home is. And one thing I'd say about that with Venus here, she is at the top of your sky in your career house, and she is flowing to Mars in what you do in your solitude, including cutting out addictions and stuff. But also Mars back here could be backroom deals and negotiations, especially in Libra, and Venus is smoothing out everything. And somehow you're going to negotiate your way to a more successful career position or outcome in your life anytime this Thursday to the end of next week. Mars rules your house of work. Venus is willing to help find work solutions for you. Venus rules your house of legal agreements and your terms of service. Those look possible. However, Venus also rules your marriage house, and she's at the top of the sky. And there's something going on behind the scenes in your relationship where there might have been some tension and some difficulties there. And now it's going to begin to smooth out. And in the public eye, you guys look better together than ever. I would also encourage you to find your inspiration, enthusiasm, and spend some downtime and creative alone time. This can open up new vistas of success by honoring your muse. She exalts the house of your muse. And by applying effort and hard work into creative projects at home alone in your downtime, I think some of you can have some major breakthroughs with your audience, marketplace, and clients. Finally, Scorpio, because this can connect to rental properties and home changes, some of you may be looking at, by the end of this year, a new home. You may be moving into a new rental property, or you could even be purchasing a home by the end of this year in a brand new neighborhood. Let's go ahead and take a look at the card for you. And I do not want you to take this the wrong way, but it's clean it up. It doesn't surprise me because Mars, oh, by the way, that could be a fertility signature too. Venus exalts your house of children. So there could be some fertility pregnancy stories in the next 4 months. Clean it up. Mars is like cut, end, and sever in the house of addictions. It's that clean. That's exactly what it means. So, I mean, are you addicted to, Netflix? It doesn't have to be substance abuse disorders or anything. 21, clean it up. And Venus is helping him do it from, because you want your reputation to look good. You want to succeed in your job. You want the world to love you. But if you're like coming to work looking hungover, or you're in front of the public looking like Johnny Depp on a bender, it's not going to work, right? You got to actually kind of clean it up. So essential meanings, something wonderful that is unearned. That's not it. Clean it up. Number 21. Okay, 21. Getting to the core of a situation, freedom from a burden, cleaning house, sweeping away what is no longer needed. But it's Mars in the addictions house, so you think about that. But in relationships, this means it's time to clear the air and take a look at your side of the street and say what's on your mind. Sweep away the old stuff so that a spring breeze can flow through with new energy. It is the perfect time to do an inventory of your dynamics and see what's yours and what's not yours, to clean up in the relationship. There's an expression: you're responsible for 100% of your 50% in any love story. Do not go any more over the fence to the other person's shit, Everyone brings some baggage. Sort through what you brought with you and let it go. and let go of what is no longer needed. Become unencumbered, and your relationship will flourish. Okay, guys, let me know how that goes. That may be a relationship to a child as well, because Venus exalts the house of children. And so if there is a first or a second born child actually in the sky, could be a part of this relationship dynamic as well. All right, moving into the next sign. I got to go soon because I got to pick up something from Facebook Marketplace. I found a great little footstool because I need a footstool under my desk. All right, it's a beanbag style. All right, let's go to Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Sagittarius, you got Venus in your 9th house with Mars in your 11th this, Thursday through to next week, end of next week. And the sextile is really lovely. And Venus is applying towards you as well directly. So you're going to might feel more joy, more satisfaction, more goodness coming at you. And this is a very lucky house as well. So good for you. And Mars is in the house of windfalls or pennies from heaven. So there could be some good financial stories that she's trying to bring from the Lakshmi wealth and luck energies to Mars to execute in a pennies from heaven, especially since Mars rules a house of good fortune, including lottery wins. So some of you could come into some money. Yes, anytime between this Thursday till next week, end of next week. Now, that aside, I started by the beginning by saying, yes, but this is a synodic cycle. Venus and Mars joined in March of 2022 and then February 2024 in your 3rd house, last seen in February 92 to January of 94, if you need to compare notes, because this is about resetting something again, like you did then. And this is the final act here. So what is the 3rd house? It's your sibling one younger, siblings in general, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews, neighbors in neighborhood, friends from high school and elementary school, those things and people and places, but it's also locale. It's like your everyday life, the city or neighborhood in which you live. And you may have changed your neighborhood. Some Sagittarius, you might have moved, right? You might have gone off to a new area to live. And, you may also anytime, this is 2022 March. This is a travel house. You might have been very engaged in travel abroad or travel locally, just more travel than you normally do. And Venus is also a ruler of the rental properties over here. So some of you might have rented new homes. Lots going on there, right? But this is the final act. And so if you did change your home or you have been traveling, it could end with new love in a foreign land or foreign shore. You could fall in love with a foreigner here. And that would be exciting if you're single. Yes. And you might find joy and enjoyment in pilgrimages and long distance journeys for sure with Venus. But Mars is saying with friends, with a sibling one older, with communities and groups that you love to go with. This would be like the group trip. I'm traveling with my book club or, some kind of group thing, right? You wouldn't want to travel alone under this energy. You could be called to sign up for, get ready, or take a trip with a group of people. Now, if you're moving off of this energy again, because you might have already relocated your home, it's possible because you might be still looking for that perfect neighborhood. Venus exalts your 4th house of home, right? And she owns your house of rentals. It might be just a situation where you might want to rent a new property. You don't have to necessarily go all in right now and buy something. Just moving to a new rental opportunity or renting your property out and traveling instead. These are things that the sky might want you to try, right? If you're in a relationship already, I know how could that work? Well, you could be, by the way, you could meet somebody new from a friend introducing you, by the way, or in a spiritual community or a learning community. But that aside, if you're already in a relationship, what would I do with this story? If I were you, how would I handle this? I would look for spiritual connection with my partner, right? I look for friends and allies or guides or therapists to help me sort out challenges in the relationship. Those are ways I'd work with this energy if the relationship you're in is at all challenged, okay? And it may not be. But it's been through some intensity, that's for sure, based on the synodic cycle. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to draw a card. And that card is going to give us a clue as to what you might be up to in the relationship sector based on this oracle. And it's a leg up. Well, that means when somebody helps you, right? And that's where you've got Mars in the house of benefactors, allies, and people who want to support you. So keep in mind that that's an important component of the astrology as well. But what about a leg up, number 34, when it comes to love? Some of you might be recalibrating this next week and a half your beliefs about life. You know, Venus is in a sort of spiritual belief house and Mars is the cutter, an ender. And it may be that as you recalibrate your beliefs about life, some of you are looking at new long-range goals and dreams that you wish to implement as a result of this transit in the next, 7 to 10 days. So the key words are receiving help, delegating authority, and interdependence. In the relationship message, it says relationships that are healthy thrive on interdependence. It's important to recognize that you need others as much as they need you. You must allow people to support you just as you are, there for them. This is a time to be vulnerable, to speak up about your needs, and to ask for them to be fulfilled. Trust you will be met with kindness and with love. Do not expect others to read your mind, though. Ask and it is given. Good luck with that, guys. If you're still watching and if you're in the live premiere, especially, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. Synodic cycle for long-term committed love relationship energetically may have begun for you, yes, in March of 2022, and again in February of 2024 in your second house. Now, it's an interesting combination because it's also a house of earnings, possessions, financial wherewithal, savings, or, the money house. And Venus is a money goddess and Mars is not that. He's Mr. Spender. And so, well, he could introduce Venus to the idea of entrepreneurial self-starter energy. That would have been the best you could have done, Capricorn, with this, is to become an entrepreneur. But if that didn't happen, then the other energy is, what is it about Venus, the goddess of your house of sexual and romantic love? Mars is like, going to fight for something, battle, cut, end, and sever. And it could have indicated love stories that kept occurring, but with financial distress embedded within them is a possibility. You might also have been looking at your self-worth, self-esteem issues and trying to figure out what you're worthy of in romantic love stories and what you're actually wanting to, engage in when it comes to romantic love. Mars rules the fourth house of home, and Venus is the possessor of what you wish to have that brings you joy and enjoyment and pleasure. Ultimately, this could have led to a lot of consideration from March of 22, resetting February 24 about where you want to live and where your home should be. It's interesting because this is also what you eat and ingest and put in your mouth. Mars and severs. Venus is pleasure, pleasure. And you've been negotiating a deal about what kind of food style is best for you, probably since February of 24. Till now, at least. This goes back to February of 92 to 94. Similar themes were emerging in that 2-year synodic cycle. Now, one thing about this particular closing act is that Venus is in the house of money that you would share with for an inheritance, a spouse, a tax rebate, money that you would get or give from spousal support, alimony, monies that are not earned directly and shared with other people, unearned income, shared resources, money that is connected to the spouse's money as well. And as you look at this Venus here, and she's leaning into directing Mars in the 10th house of career and reputation and social standing, it's quite clear that maybe there's going to be some opportunity for a work environment situation to increase your financial prosperity. That is one possibility. If so, Venus rules your house, exalts your house of travel, and may imply you will need to travel for that to be true. Money issues and having to negotiate or remediate financial challenges vis-a-vis children in your life, adult children most likely, could also be something emerging for you at this time. What the world sees us doing, Mars in Libra, could be that you announce to the world a divorce, a separation. Those are possibilities as well. Yet everything seems to want to be harmonious, namaste, and quite lovely here. And if you are separating from somebody, then the division of assets should be mutually acceptable and not a place of hardship. This guide supports ease and grace and flow in mutual shared resources divided equally without any kind of disharmony here. Now, if you've been working hard in your career because you have a career, then this could just be a bit of a financial payoff sometime between this Thursday and next week that comes like a sign-in bonus or severance package or, some kind of performance review award or reward or something like that. Ultimately, the cycle will end in January, and then you'll have to start a whole new cycle in Capricorn. Single Capricorns, that cycle could bring you within 2 years after next January, a significant, powerful new love story. Now, one thing I want to note for you guys, I'll finish this up, is that, Mars is opposing the 4th house from the 10th, but Venus is loving him up. So the pleasure and the joy that you would have in a home that you really wanted looks like a story that could happen here. And it looks like it could be an emerging, possible new place to live that becomes noticed by you or shared by the universe. Like, here's a place for you. If you need to move or want to move, it could be very auspicious between basically this week, but also before this week and January, all through the fall. Let's grab a card for you and let's see what we get. Let's go into it. All right. It is milk and honey, the land of milk and honey. Milk and honey is about the pineal gland, and it's about this like soma or nectar. It's really a spiritual term, milk and honey. Number 51, but as we know, it's meant to be positive. Number 51. Can't go wrong with milk and honey. 51. The land of milk and honey. The taste of prosperity. Okay, so don't forget, Venus is in the house of chunky money, shared resources. And the cycle started in your house of financial possessions and earnings and savings. So there's a good story here about money for you. The taste of prosperity, opportunities born of authenticity, nurturing abundance, and trusting that your needs will be met, Capricorn. The relationship message in particular is sensuality, connection, and passionate romance between lovers. Sweet moments of understanding, the love among friends and family are here for you to savor now. Your heart's calling will be answered. Let your thoughts and feelings be sweet with gratitude, and you will be nourished with the honey of abundance. Well, that works with the astrology. It really does. And then we move on. Oh, please tell me I'm recording this video. I am. Thank God. Well, we're moving on. I'm recording this on Saturday for the Monday output. I'm behind schedule these days. I just couldn't bring myself to work too hard lately. All right, Aquarius, I'm one of you. Sun, moon, and rising. I'm Aquarius rising. We have a story that was all about us. Remember how back I told you in the intro, March of 22 to February 24, then February 24 to January 26. The cosmic lovers unite in our sign, right? Capricorns get this next time. This is a little bit for us like what happened in our romantic love life and our sense of self-worth and self back in February of 92 to January of 1994. Venus rules pregnancy and fertility. Examples would be also stories about children, having children, wanting to have children. Those would be similar energy signatures as well for this, for some of you. Now, when these planets join together in our sign, it's a combination of Venus with what we yearn for that brings us pleasure and enjoyment, that which we like to unite with that brings us harmony and ease and luck. And Mars, who typically wants to cut, end, and sever. So it's like the oil and the vinegar are meshing together in our sign, and we're really trying to figure out how we can make them work together. Quite often, after there is a sort of saturation of understanding of what we desire that's truly enjoyable or pleasurable and valuable, Venus, then Mars will take the decisions and actions to bring that about. And often we have to let go of what we really don't want for what we really do desire to show up, right? The combination is interesting. So we may have experienced, though, beginnings and endings in relationships, because this is always going to activate the 7th house of committed love and relationship. I shared in the beginning that after the March of 22 connection, within a few months after that, before the end of 2022, I met somebody that I had been in relationship with until now. And so after 7 years alone, so there is that story, right? You can see that story does repeat. And if I'm to be, very vulnerably honest, in February of 92 to January 94, my marriage was in a big difficulty, father of my kids, and that almost ended. So Mars and Venus have the capacity to end or begin together love relationships of commitment and enduring value. So keep that in mind. Now, Venus here is moved into your house of significant long-term love relationship. And Mars is in your ninth house of foreign lands and shores. And it's possible if you're a single Aquarius, it could incite a new relationship between this Thursday through until the end of next week, where you meet somebody because of a travel or because you're in an ashram or a spiritual community or a learning community, and this person will cross your path. That's a possibility. And you'd find this person highly attractive because Venus is the attractive one, and you're looking over at that attractive possibility. Now, for those of you who are already in a relationship and that is a story, then you might be finding a beautiful opportunity for a foreign trip or a travel, or maybe someone's going to do a proposal. That house of religious institutions where weddings could happen belongs to the ninth house. There's maybe an up level for some of you. Venus in your seventh house is the house of your business partners, your audience, your marketplace, your clients. Conceivably, you're going to up level here. Conceivably, you could find yourself getting more attention, and Mars is distributing that attention into the theme of the ninth house: book publishing, international, teaching, things like that. Ultimately, though, it is a signature that says, I'm closing out, says Venus, the chapter that we began in February, I should say, of 2024. This is the last act. Okay, so legal matters to do with justice belong to the ninth house. And so if you're finishing a relationship, then you're looking at the legal ramifications of ending something, right? Like, the lawyers, who gets what, the dispensation of things, and all of that. Venus rules your fourth house of home, land, property, real estate. Mars is in the house of far off distant shores and foreign lands and passports and visas. It is a possibility that you may be activated to plan a long distance trip anytime between Thursday of this week and the end of next week, or even to relocate your home to another country, maybe a digital nomad, foreign lands, but it doesn't mean you're doing the move now. Some of you might. It could also be an activation that says, well, by January of next year, you're going to know what this is for, because that's when that new cycle starts. Mars does rule your house of travel, as well as your house of short distance travel, as well as this isn't a learning axis. So new love can be discovered through a traveling or learning environment for single Aquariuses, for sure. And finally, Venus does exalt the house of your income. So if you're making money through teaching or writing or communicating, there's a little window of beautiful exaltation where your financial situation should get a lot better, basically between Thursday and the end of next week. Now, what about that whole card draw for you and the relationship story? By the way, let's say Mars also exalts your house of distant shores and far off land. So a lot of you, not that everyone's going to get in love with someone from like Siberia. You could fall in love with someone who lives in a different city or state, but new love stories may require travel. Or you may have you fall for a foreigner who's traveling to your country, or that kind of thing. New love could come through online dating and also social media as well. Here, there's lots to go on to say about that. Happy. Second person to get the happy card, number 26. Happily ever after. Okay, 26. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Joy and contentment, a sense of fulfillment, Aquarius, and a feeling that all is well. Woo. Relationship message. There are moments in a relationship when you feel good about whom you're with and know that your heart is wide open. Now, this applies to single people as well, because this is what will come to you. And if you're with someone, this is what is trying to happen. Now is the time for feeling joy for the sake of joy. Wrong one. Your heart is wide open to befriend, to love, and to care for another without wanting anything in return. This is the kind of happy that you want to share. The appearance of this card in a reading tells you that joy and contentment are here now. The grass is greenest right where you stand. Be grateful and delight your relationship and delight in your relationship. If you're seeking one, be happy now, because happiness attracts more of itself, like bees to honey. All right. Let me know in the comments, guys. Any Aquarians want to share a story? I'd love to hear how your world is going on this storyline. Now we have the last sign, which is Pisces, the mystic poets of our zodiac. Oh, you guys, here we go. This is the story of Venus, who exalts you. You have a special relationship with you. She's the exaltation lord of your sign in your sixth house of work and health, pets and rentals and debts, and Mars cutting through the unearned income and shared resources. If I didn't know better, I'd say somebody's going to be able to pay off a debt here, but also, or declare bankruptcy or eliminate a debt or cut away a debt. Okay. That aside, the big picture is where we have to go. Synodic cycle, these two planets join together here in your 12th house, March of 2022. Once again, February of 2024, initiating 2-year cycles. This one ends in January of 26. Last time this cycle happened was February of 1992 to January of 1994. In essence, it's rare. And here we have the possibility that you might find amazing stories going on with karmic debt love. This is Venus in the house of karmic indebtedness, and the activation of these two planets here way back in, we could start off with February of 24, if you like, add 2 years, could have opened a doorway to a past life relationship opening up into this lifetime. For some of you, that will be true. If it hasn't happened yet, you've still got till January for that to become a thing. It is also possible in this kind of a sky that a long distance relationship is here or will form, where there needs to be travel for the two of you to get together. But that doesn't mitigate or dampen the fact that the karmic love story is real. And there's a sense of affinity and an ease and a sense of familiarity and joy in being back together again. Mars is the ruler of your money, earnings, and resources house. And Venus is in the house of health, and Mars rules what you ingest. And if you had an addiction, if you had a bad way of eating that impacted your health, this is the turning point week where those things are going to not come back. And you could look at those as closing the door on those self-defeating, health impacting challenges because of the dietary habits or styles that you kept. And now it's time to let them go. And you might see evidence of that this Thursday through to the end of next week. But all of this is true really until January. If you want to change your home, and that's a possibility, you will move to a new neighborhood or new city or somewhere in your country that you live in. Could even be another country in this chart, but most likely within your country, there could be evidence for a relocation, but for love. Like, in other words, you're not going to move just because. You'd move because there's a relationship and you wish to be closer together. And that could look like that happening for you guys, or evidence for planning for it before we get to the beginning of January. You know, it's possible that this relationship could have started as friendship. If you're in a new one, then you're going, wow, this is amazing. Even though it has past life connections, it could also have been like there was a friendship first, and that could be very important, or friends introduced you. Now, if you're single and you don't know what I'm talking about and you don't have a relationship, okay, I understand. No big deal. Then you could meet somebody under this energy. You could meet them as you are walking a pet. You could meet them connected to things going on in your local environment, your neighborhood, going to the gym, going to the shopping store, whatever. So that could be an introduction to somebody new for single Pisces. Mars is in a shared resources house with somebody that you share money with. Sometimes it's your spouse. There could be some turning points in those shared resources and connecting to eliminations of debts. So maybe you and your partner can pay down a debt together, or you can pay down your partner's debt, or vice versa. Mars rules the house of legal matters. This is an ideal time to consult a lawyer advisor type for debt elimination strategies. That includes bankruptcy with that kind of sky, but that would be freeing you from unwanted debt. And that could be truly happening between now and the end of the year. And because a lot of the story of the 12th house that has been going on since 22 and 26 continually activates your self-worth, self values, and your belief in yourself regarding financial prosperity. And this can be a final turning point regarding those stories. What are you worthy of making? What is your net worth? If it's not good, why not? You know, this is a healing story, and it connects to that second house and past life, vows of poverty, for example, right? Or vows of chastity. Yeah, exactly. Never ending story. To me, that's like the loops of our past lives that keep going over these ones. 36. But in a love story, it could be like the never ending love story. You're back again. You're back again. This is definitely, if you're looking for love and you haven't gotten it by January, you will, but it'll be like a very karmic relationship, very familiar, never ending story, Pisces. Self-criticism, wounded ego, and unnecessary dramas. I don't know if I'd take it that way. Let's read about love. Let's read about love. Relationship message. Because you Pisces have the South Node traveling through your marriage house, started in January, ends next July, and you can attract soulmate love, but you also are going to be sometimes pulled down, like your marriage can like be a sinkhole for you if you're already in a relationship. Relationship message. Sometimes your heart enters into a contract with another that results in pain, not because of abuse or neglect, but for more complex reasons. Shame or fear of intimacy or low self-esteem, especially around your money, are the greatest challenges to the success of a relationship. Consider how valuable this knowledge is. However, right now, Pisces, you have an opportunity for important healing, but you must reflect on the stories you are weaving about love, connection, abandonment, rejection, and loneliness. Mars and Venus in the house of solitude, isolation, and aloneness has been the conjunction since 22, rebooted in 24. Not only do you, Pisces, need to begin a new story, you need to forgive yourself for telling yourself the old ones. Have compassion for the part of you that believes all those narratives. None of them were true anyway. That's especially poignant given that the nodes of fate are moving through your sign right now, and the North Node is growing you a new story. All right. I normally have a outro. Today I don't. I'm going to pick up my footstool. I'm going to be late if I don't roll out of here. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next video.